objections to approval of the minutes from the September 24th? Okay, with that, we'll do a quick roll call vote for the approval of the minutes for the Law Enforcement Oversight Committee from September 24th. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Heseltine, your mic is open.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson, your mic is open.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jenkott, your mic is open.
Yes.
Thank you. And looks like Chair Neri Strickland has joined us. Sylvia, we're right now voting to approve the minutes from the September 24th meeting. Can you hear us? Sylvia? Okay, I think she might be having some audio issues. I know she did when we did a test yesterday with her laptop. So we can come back to her. Commissioner Cubine?
Yes.
Your vote for the minutes?
Yes, I've heard.
Okay, thank you.
I read it.
Okay, with that, we have the minutes have been approved.
Thank you.
5-0. You're welcome.
Thank you. So the first order of business on the agenda is the review of the use of force policies with the Sheriff's Department and the Police Department. I just want to remind everybody again that our purpose is to review these from a human rights violation. And we all have different backgrounds, experiences. A lot of you, most of you have been on longer than I have. And so your opinions and your thoughts are extremely important. I only received one review back from Tommy, one written report. And thank you, Tommy. It was very thorough, and I truly appreciate it. Has everyone had a chance to read the use of force policies? You can. Is there, so I guess I'm asking more than I'm telling here. I'm asking, how would you like to proceed on this? I'm not sure if we, and I may not have made that clear, should we go back to review them, make suggestions on the document and populate it there, or send it to me and I can add all the comments for us to have further discussion, or would you like to discuss in real time? I see Beatrice nodding her head.
Yeah, and she has a virtual hand up. So Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to comment. Yes, I read the document, and I think it is more important that we have a discussion rather than to have just talking points, because we need to really analyze what we are seeing, and perhaps not rush into just reading something and then give an opinion, but rather really delve into different things. For instance, and I don't have unfortunately, I'm using my laptop and I cannot open the document and so forth. But I would suggest that if you don't mind, Dominique, sharing the document so that we can view the document and then make comments and have questions about it. Because I did have several things that I think I would like the department, first of all, to explain. I mean, for instance, I don't understand what a blue team is. So if we don't understand, we cannot just go into the motions of having a discussion on things that we basically, the majority are understandable, and it is very commendable that it is very specific for the department. And from the standpoint of somebody that reads legal documents, I can tell you that this obviously a carefully crafted document in which attorneys were used to basically protect the department, to make sure that the public knows that they're careful with the procedures and so forth. But I think they want us not to just give a seal of approval, but rather to ask questions and to be how do you say, careful with what we are seeing. So that is my recommendation. If we view it, that we, if we develop questions, then, forward those questions so that we can clarify, discuss amongst ourselves, and then go like that. That way we are honestly giving a more careful opinion. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Amberman. I just want to take one moment to identify the new caller on the line. I believe this is Lieutenant Wichenthal. Lieutenant Wichenthal, is this you?
It is me, and I'm having difficulty getting on the computer, but I think I don't want to speak too soon, but I think I got success. So I think I'm going to join you by computer, but I hope so, yes. Okay,
great. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments on how best to review these or a recommendation?
I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Cubine. Commissioner Cubine, your mic is open.
Yeah, I think it would really be helpful to have some guidelines on what we are looking for. And I should have known we're looking for anything that has to do with human rights. But it took considerable time, and I thought it was sometimes confusing because I thought that sometimes it was repetitious, and I didn't know the abbreviations, and I didn't know what a blue team was. And I did look up most of those things in the process of making my comments, but I just think might be a little more helpful. I don't know, maybe the police department could even help us a little bit to say, to pinpoint some areas. I think my main comments were the way it was written, that I thought it could be in a more understandable way, because we just go on paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, and maybe some more formatting, outlining would have been helpful. I don't know if that's a worthwhile contribution today, but I took the time to review it, and it was lengthy, and it seemed very, very thorough. And there was one question I had that I did send in, but about a procedure, but otherwise I just think that if there's some way that is clearer how to review it and what we're looking for, might be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Cubine. I have a virtual hand up by Chair Near Strickland. Your mic is open.
Hi, and I'm sorry I came late. Which document are we talking about? The bill 5055 or the proposal?
No, right now we're talking about the use of force policies with the sheriff's department and the police departments.
Thank you. I'm way behind. Yes. Okay.
No. No, I'm sorry.
I don't know. Thank you.
Just trying to figure out the best way to proceed to be able to review this for human rights violations.
Yeah. Well,
or human rights, not violations, I shouldn't say that, human rights concerns.
Right. Thank you.
I have a virtual hand up by Chair Vice Chair Jenkott. Your mic is open.
Thanks. I like what Beatrice said. I think it's good to have discussion. Like when I read through it, I've marked some different questions that I have that's about definitions, and also I think that would be valuable for us, and just to take our time, and so that we're not doesn't end up that we're criticizing something that we simply just don't understand. So that's my thought on it. Let me ask you this: are we under any kind of timeline that I'm not aware of one where we have to provide the feedback?
Not that I haven't been given a definitive timeline. I guess both departments are represented here, and they could better answer that than me.
I would say the police department does not have a timeline. I think the timeline would be self-imposed by the each. We would obviously ask for sooner than later, and I don't mean sooner as in tomorrow, but we would ask it not to be till the end of the year. And I think it's timely for us with the new chief that the sooner we get your input, the sooner he can take into consideration, because he's also and with his own, he's also evaluating our policies as too, to see if it's at his level or what he's concerned with. And I think with your input could actually help him in that evaluation process.
Good to know.
Yes.
I agree. The sheriff's office is not really pressed with a timeline. It's just basically just patiently awaiting your input.
So maybe it's good for us to then rank order that we look at PD first, and then it would be maybe compiling the list of questions that we have for better understanding, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jankot. Let's see, I have a virtual hand up by Chair Near Strickland. Your mic is open.
Yes, I'm sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, I think both the police and the sheriff's department asked us several months ago to do that. So as soon as, and since I came in late, did anyone suggest that we have a special meeting with the police and sheriff to just go over it with us line by line or section by section? Was that suggested, or is that not really an independent review? Did you guys discuss that when I was talking to Rod Ingram?
I have a virtual hand up. Oh, I'm sorry. Committee Chair.
I'm sorry. I'm not used to be able to speak. No, we didn't discuss that, but I think that because I had the same problems, I think that everybody else, well, not a problem, but I had the same issues that everybody else has. And if you look at my paper, I've got it all marked up as far as what is this and why is this, what does necessary mean and what does this mean? So if that would be possible to have a special meeting with each department to help so that we could, as we go through it and ask questions during that time to clarify any definitions that we don't know. Would that be possible?
Lieutenant Wichenthal, or
We would welcome that. What I would even suggest maybe that if you have questions, not about the content or the intent, but like I think it was Francis brought up what a blue team was, stuff like that you're confused about or not knowing, and it may give you a better chance to truly evaluate the policy. Maybe we do that ahead of time. We provide answers to that so you can look back at the policy and see if that answers your question. So when we get back together, we're not spending 3/4 of the time asking what abbreviations are, asking what blue team, and we're actually getting in the meat and potatoes, and we're talking about the policies and evaluate that. And that way, if you send us the questions, we can send back the answers saying what a blue team is, what this initial stands for, and the intent of it, and that. Not getting into the policy because we want to do that in person in a sense, but give you a better education of it in that sense.
Perfect.
And I think from the sheriff's office perspective too, I think the sheriff, and Lois can correct me if I'm wrong, the sheriff had offered for a made-up committee or committee, people from the board to come in and not only review the policy, but also review any of our actual use of forces, which you can relate to the policy, might create a better understanding.
Right.
No, you're correct, Captain.
Okay. Yes. And so is this something that we could, so I mean, this is a question for the committee members. Is this something that we could commit to meeting, having this, taking care of the police department first in January? Is that something that the timeline that we could commit to for our January meeting?
I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
Yes, and actually, I was not going to answer the last question that Carla posed, but I was thinking that even in today's meeting to be to advance on on some of the things that we have, to maybe put up. I don't know if you can share the document with us, and at least today. Take care of a few things that can, shed some light. Because I feel that the majority of the document is very carefully done. And obviously, even attorneys have been consulted because I see the careful way in which the procedures are discussed and so forth. But I think it is important that as a group right now, use our time. And what I heard was that one of the reports, at least for the police department, they would like to receive it before the end of the year. Is that what I understood?
Looks like Lieutenant Wichita is on the phone right now.
Oh,
I apologize. I gotta try to cover two bases. That can you repeat it for me again?
yes, I heard you said that you needed at least our feedback before the end of the year. Am I correct?
No, I don't think we need it by the end of this calendar year. No, I do not think that at all. And I would probably actually, being it's the 16th, would probably ask that you not give it back. So you actually give some thought into it and can debate it in that sense. And we can also talk about it so that you all have an informed decision you can make on it in that sense. So yeah, I would welcome extending it a little bit so you all are able to actually give it a thorough review.
Exactly. And I don't know what you think, but I think it would be useful, to have a few meetings amongst human rights commissioners and then some meetings with the police and the sheriff's office department so that we can kind of feel at ease to basically share and so forth. That is my suggestion. But I think that for today, I would love to see the document and maybe, ask a few questions if we have any.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ammerman. Committee Chair Hesselstein, I have a couple more virtual hands up. One from Commissioner Cuban. Commissioner Cuban, your mic is open.
Yes, I'd like to be clear if we are only reviewing use of force, because I did not understand that to begin with. So I started off with one of the first ones that I saw, and it happened to be the second chapter. And there were things, there were things I didn't understand. And then when I looked at the first chapter, I think a lot of that is explained. I think perhaps some of the things, the initials and things that we don't understand may have been in that first section, seem to be. But is it just the use of force that is for the police department that we'll be reviewing? I did review mental health also, by the way,
Yes.
if that wants to be noted. Is it use of force that we just want to review, or all of the policies? Because there's quite a few.
I sent Sylvia quite a few ones that we looked at. I also sent the link to our policies. What I would encourage you to do is look at the list that we sent over, plus take 5 minutes to look at that link, which all of our policies are online. And if there's something there that reaches out to you just from the title, you think maybe that you should have a look, by all means, pull it out. And then if you think that, you can talk to the entire committee. I think we should look at that. We welcome you looking at any one of our policies and give any input on any segment of it at all.
Okay, if I can just interject.
Back to you, Committee Chair.
I'm sorry. If I can just interject. Scott's right. They sent both departments have been extremely gracious in opening their books up to us to review anything. My mistake was I put them all up on Google Docs and changed them so that everybody could look at them. Then I went back and decided that the use of force were the first two that we should look at, and so I broke those out. And I think I would propose to this committee as an ongoing process, once we get through use of force and develop a procedure of how to review these, we can then go back through and look at any and all other policies. I agree that I believe the police chief will probably make some changes, and these won't be the last. There'll probably be updates to it, but I think if we knock out use of force, and that's not a great way to put it, but if we analyze use of force first, and then again develop a procedure of how we want to do each one, and then we can go back through. What I would ask as a committee chair is there are certain ones, like I know I asked Tommy to look at mental health. That's her particular expertise, and I believe her input weighs a lot on that, and that's why I may ask some of you to delve more into these. But I think I really like the idea of that we can what Commissioner Gencott just put on, that we share our questions, we compile these, send them to the PD for the bigger issues, and then meet back in January once we all feel we have an understanding of what the terms and definitions are, and then go back and then let each department go through line by line with us. Would that be acceptable to the committee?
I have a virtual hand up by Chair Neri Strickland. Your mic is open.
Captain Norris, I know that you guys had offered to have a committee and come in. We're doing everything virtually. Is that open with a virtual invitation also?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure it would be. As long as, we get everybody, here, I'm sure that virtual meeting will be acceptable. Yes.
Thank you.
And also the question that I have too is that once the policies are reviewed, you have your questions. Is it possible that we can receive those questions beforehand so we can review them and have good, solid answers for you?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And now to Committee Chair Hassan's question about the going forward with this committee. I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
Yes, I would like to have us clarify, because it's not only questions that we have. Initially, I think that is correct. Questions, but there are not that many, because if you read the document, a lot of the acronyms that are being used are specific and are specified. There are just, like, in my opinion, a few. They will not take that long for the departments to answer for us. But on the other, I think that we need to discuss what is it that we understand, when we go through the document. So that is when I think that we need an internal discussion amongst the human rights commissioners to kind of, have those opportunities.
Thank you, Commissioner Amberman.
So, I'm sorry, Commissioner Amberman, so if I'm hearing correctly, would the procedure you'd like to see us follow is get questions back, compile these, send them to the police department. And I'm just saying the police department because we've decided that we're going to do that one first, and then meet back as a commission to talk about it, and then compile a group, and then ask for each department to address it then. Is that correct?
And yes, and let me tell you why, because I feel that, and I realize, having like yourselves attend a lot of meetings, and the understanding of each one of us is subjective. Whatever I understand for X may be totally different of what you understand. So, I would like to hear your opinions on certain portions that I have questions. And I think that once we agree, because I feel that we would be misusing the time of the police department to kind of not agree amongst ourselves what are the specific, questions or suggestions that we would want to recommend. If we have to compile, many different ones without having a conversation. So we need consensus in reviewing the document, and then once those questions or suggestions arise from the conversation, then we can engage back with the police department. Because I feel that to have them, for instance, attend today just to listen to this, is not the best use of their time. And by the way, I feel that the document is very good. That is my first input. But on the other hand,
right,
I do have some, discussions that I would like to have with all of you.
Okay. So can we develop a timeline of when we could get the questions, when I can send them to the police department, what their turnaround can be, and then what our first meeting can be, if I can accomplish that. So when could we get all of the questions in?
Please raise your virtual hand if you have a suggestion or a thought on that. see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
And I'm so sorry.
That's
You know,
okay.
and frankly, I mean, for as far as myself is concerned, the only question I had was, what is a blue team? And then PDT. What does that mean? I saw that everything else had, a definition on the acronym, but on the on those two, I looked back and forth and I couldn't see any. And I don't know whether, like, Tommy said, it was too repetition that I missed it. But if they can explain that today, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, are there really a lot of questions? That is my, or can we just go into reviewing the document? Like, if you can share the document with us right now, and then we can go through a few lines. I don't know, that would be a good use of our time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what is a blue team?
Oh, Lieutenant Wishenthal, your mic is open.
Blue team is our reporting form. That's the document.
You're cutting out.
So if they used force, they
you just
would
cut
by
out
our
on us a
policy,
little
they're
bit.
required to do. All right. So if I use force, or if an officer uses force, they make a report of it, and the report is called the blue team. That's the system we use to document and process and track our uses of force. Let me just say another note. I'm actually really excited about this aspect of it, because if you all who have somewhat of a working knowledge of the police department, not an excessive amount, but more than the average citizen, have questions about our policies as simple as what is a blue team, maybe it could, your questions asking us may tell us that one point we may need to do is to explain those in our policies and answer those questions, so that the policies that we have on the internet available to our citizens, if they can't understand it, we want them to. So maybe this will give us some insight on just even grammatical or processes that we have to change our policies, just so our citizens can have a better understanding of it. So I'm excited about that portion.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Okay, and virtual hand up by Commissioner Ammerman. I think you had another definition you were asking about, correct?
Yes, but I think they, and I'm sorry to say this, but Mr. Wichendall, I feel that the definition is too narrow, and for you to explain to me as a citizen, and I'm talking just a regular citizen, and you tell me that a blue team is a report, I need to be, for instance, explained. Is it a written report? Is it a format that is like in a document that is electronic document? And why is it called a team rather than a report? So the team implies that somehow there may be a review by a few people. So who would get that report? Why is it called a team? Because there are things like that. So what I'm talking about, we need a more expanded explanation in order for us to really give an honest opinion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ammerman. I have a virtual hand up by Chair Neri Strickland. Your mic is open.
Yeah, just as it's not really a point of order, but it is. I thought we had said, and I think it was, I'm sorry, my notes are all over, Beatrice, who said we would get together, we review these, get our questions together, get back together, and I assume that we rather quickly, with someone who had compiled all the questions, and then we as a commission talk about them and then get with the police, rather than try and review these today. Is that correct? So we really need to go back to that. It was not made in a formal motion, but I think that's an informal motion on the floor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Committee Chair, back to you.
Yes, and I will.
You're breaking up a little bit on us.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just me if I am. I make the motion that we do compile questions, send them to me and Sylvia. We'll compile them, get them to the proper departments, give them time to answer them, schedule new meetings, and move forward in that direction.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone interested in seconding that motion? See a virtual hand up by Vice Chair Jen Cock. Your mic is open.
Yes, point of clarification, Sylvia, can the chair make a motion?
Oh, Chair Neer Strickland, your mic is open.
I know I can't, as chair of the Human Rights Commission. I think for our committee, I'm not quite sure. I just can't do it.
For the books, then I will make that motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
It needs a second.
So we need a second for the motion to start with compiling questions of the Virginia Beach Police Department's use of force, and then reconvene and then submitting those questions, and then reconvening to talk about it, discuss it further. So I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Ammerman. Commissioner Ammerman, did you want to second that motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. With that, is there any opposition, any discussion regarding the motion on the table right now, which is to review the Virginia Beach Police Department's use of force policy, compile any questions we have, submit that to the department, and then once we receive a response, have further discussion on the matter? I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Cubine. Commissioner Cubine, your mic is open.
Yes, I think Beatrice stated it and I stated it. I did thoroughly read it and study it. I didn't see anything that I would question about how they handle things. But if it is important that it is online and it's good for the public to be able to understand it, there were several places that I would point out that it could be much clearer. And do you want that kind of, does this motion include that kind of report, that kind of input?
Yes, yes. Any kind of questions you have in regards to the policy is what you would submit.
So it's not really the policy, it's the way it's presented is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Cuban.
You want that too?
Yeah, yes. Any kind of questions about the policy, we want to submit them just so, because like Lieutenant Wichita said, if there's something that you're seeing that is confusing you, another citizen might also have that kind of confusion too. So just want to have as much clarification on the policy as possible.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Cubine. Oh, I have a virtual hand up by Lieutenant Wichita. Lieutenant Wichita, your mic is open.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify two things. First off, the blue team. The blue team is called Blue Team. Quite frankly, that's usually the case we go because that's the software that we use for it. And it's done electronically, is not done on paper. And was stated, it is a team effort. In other words, it goes all the way from the officer that did it through their complete chain of command all the way up to the chief, see that and sign off on it in that sense. So it is a team effort in reviewing it. But the reason it's called Blue Team is because that's the software, the company that does it, tracks it in that sense. But it is, every single one is done electronically in that sense. And the other aspect is, and old age is terrible. I can't remember what the other section. If I remember my other comment, I'll bring it up back. But
Okay.
yeah, the Blue Team, that's why we call it.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant Wichita. So just getting back to the motion that's on the table right now, I want to go ahead and do a vote just so we get that get that off the table to establish the next step in the process, which is to review the use of force policy by the Virginia Beach Police Department, compile any questions you have, submit that to the department, and then once we get a response, reconvene to discuss. So starting with Chair Neer Strickland, your vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Cubine?
Aye. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ammerman?
Aye.
Thank you. Committee Chair Hasseltine?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jenkott?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, with that, it is approved 6-0 that the next step in the process is to review the use of force policy by the Virginia Beach Police Department, compile any questions, submit that to the department, and then once we get a response, come back to reconvene and discuss.
Thank you so much. And I know that was painfully long, but I think once we have once we have a procedure instituted, we'll be able to move forward with the other pieces pretty quickly. The next piece on the agenda, number 4, is the I'm sorry.
I think Commissioner Amberman has something to say on this matter, just to wrap it up. Commissioner Amberman?
Yes, and actually, I think Scott Wichendall wanted to also, he asked what was the other question, and the other question that I had was the definition for PDNT. PDNT, what is that? And if he provides me with that, I think my studying of the document again will make a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Amberman. Okay, back to you, Committee Chair Hasseltine.
Thank you. So moving on, number 4 is the IRPCRP update. And I think everybody received the document from Commissioner Taylor this morning. Did they?
Yep. Okay. I have a virtual hand up by Vice Chair Jenkott. Vice Chair Jenkott, your mic is open.
Thanks. Yes, I received it, printed it out, but with all due respect, I have not had time to review it, so I would not be able to contribute to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jenkott. I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Cubine. Commissioner Cubine, your mic is open.
I'm in the same situation. I received it, but I didn't have time to review it yet.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cubine. I have a virtual hand up by Chair Neer Strickland. Chair Neer Strickland, your mic is open.
I think by consensus, Madam Chair, that we just, I also printed it out, and gave it a quick look, but we need to really dive into it and before we discuss it. I don't think we need to vote, do you?
No, I don't. I agree. I received it as well, and wasn't able to go through it very quickly. Unfortunately, I guess Commissioner Taylor couldn't be here to kind of walk us through it. So I would, just want to note that we did that everybody that in the Law Enforcement Oversight Committee did receive it, and we'll wait further instruction on what he's looking for to proceed.
Okay. All right. And Commissioner Cubine, did you have something to add? I see your virtual hand is up. Your mic is open.
Sorry, I should have put it down.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. All right, Chair. And I think, she just put it down. Okay. Back to you, Committee Chair Hasseltine.
Thank you. So it takes us to number 5, new business. And I think the ongoing review, I think we did that in the use of force policy, as in that we developed a procedure, developed a policy, and this is how we'll proceed moving forward as we review all of the policies that were given to us by the police department and the sheriff's department. The next issue I had was 2021 dates. Again, I apologize that we had a meeting in September, and I do know where the time went, but I don't know where the time went. And so moving forward in 2021, I wanted to get on the calendar now, whether we want to meet monthly, whether we want to meet every other month, whether we want to and have special meetings whenever needed. So I'm open for discussion on that.
I have a virtual hand up by Vice Chair Jenkott. Vice Chair Jenkott, your mic is open.
Being the president, I say that we address the tasks we have at hand, and then after that, and at each of those meetings, it looks like it may be like a 2-week interval to get these things in. And then after that, we set up a monthly meeting for an ongoing thing. But let's take care of tasks first.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jenkott. I have a virtual hand up by Chair Neer Strickland. Chair Neer Strickland, your mic is open.
That was going to be my suggestion, so I can take it as a second or just consensus. But I think a couple of weeks for us to look it over and then do it in 2-week intervals is good. Just to get past this and get it done, and maybe monthly after that.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, committee chair, Hester time.
Okay, I think I don't think we need to make a motion for that. I think that can just be a decision that we're going to do it every 2 weeks until we get these tasks completed as recommended, and then move forward with with 2021 dates. All in agreement? Just nod.
Anyone
Is good.
Anyone in opposition? Okay.
Good.
I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Cubine. Commissioner Cubine, your mic is open.
I didn't understand whether you wanted the reports in within 2 weeks, because this is a very busy time, as we've said. Do we have a date for us to review again and get everything in? And did we get it into Dominique and Carla? We don't send it directly to the police department, right?
No.
Right. So what time frame do we have to get our comments in this time? This 2 weeks are very, very busy. We have meetings as well as holiday stuff going on.
Okay, so just to clarify, what we are doing in this first issue is to look over the documents, and any questions that we may have for the police department regarding definitions, clarifications. That's what that's the first thing that we're doing. So what does the committee, what kind of a timeline would the committee like?
Any suggestions on a date, a deadline date? I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
Yeah, I think frankly, I am with Tommy Cubine. We have the holidays, and I frankly, I'm not going to be committing to anything until the next calendar year.
Yeah.
But if we can do it on the say first or second week of next year, that would be good.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Amberman. Anyone else with any suggested dates? Commissioner Cubine, did you have more to say, or?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, no, that's okay. That's all right. I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Thompson, your mic is open.
Yes, are we talking about date for completion or getting our questions in, or are we talking about the date time for the next meeting?
No. The date for getting the questions in, yeah.
I would like to have extended time on that. We have a lot of documents to review, and I'd like to go through it carefully. Would the end of the month of January be too far out? That would be my suggestion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Thompson. I have a virtual hand up by Chair Neary Strickland. Your mic is open.
Yeah, Francis, I think the end of January is kind of late. We're just going to give it a quick look and come up with just our questions like Beatrice just did. Nothing about procedures or we'll talk about that in another meeting. But I think just a quick look to see if our quick questions, I think we can probably, can't we accomplish that by the middle of January at least, and then meet. That would mean, this is just for the policies. We also have on our plate, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but we also have on our plate that the document that Ron sent to us, and that's going to require a lot of, I would like to get the policies just out of the way, I think, quickly, the questions. Do you think so, Madam Chair?
That's the timeline I would like to do. I would like, and again, and I'm sorry if I'm not being clear on this, the only policy that we are looking at is the use of force policy for the VBPD. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 8 pages typewritten. When I printed out, 8 to 10 pages long. What we're looking for is for each of us to read it, review, and make notes of any word, definition, clarification that we may need by the police department. If I could have that back by the 15th of January, and then get that out to the PD on Martin Luther King Day, the 18th. Well, I guess, and it depends on what's going on with the police department at that point. Give them a week to get back to us. and then I can send that back out to everybody else. And then if we could meet as a group again by the end of the month with the PD, would that be acceptable? So that we could, I'm concerned that each of these are going to take, if we do a longer timeline, my concern is that it will take 2 months per department. And it may take that, but if we could, with everything else that's coming up, if we could do that within the month of January, I think that would be helpful to everybody.
I would be willing to meet the January 15th deadline. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Jancott. Anyone, I see, anyone have any issues with that timeline? I see a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
No. I agree with the timeline, but I think that when we are discussing this, part of the discussion should be also to include that once we get a response for those questions that we may have, and like I said, in my opinion, there may not be that many, to also agree that we are going to meet amongst the commissioners to review or have gone through, basically, of the document amongst ourselves. So that we don't have to have another 5-minute discussion on that. It should be, that we are agreeing at this moment of two things. One is to review the document, to send the questions, to wait for the response from the police department, and then also to agree at this time that we will meet virtually to discuss the document once we have the clarification of those questions. So I would like to hear what is the timeline for that as well, so that we don't have to repeat the whole thing again.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Amberman. I have a hand up by Chair Nair Strickland. Your mic is open.
Thank you, Beatrice. And to go along with the chair's recommendations of the timeline, why don't we say that we get our questions in by the 15th, and on the 18th, we meet virtually if we are available, or the 19th, whenever the chair is wants to meet as a commission, and then we can just meet with the police after that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound reasonable? Carla, or did you want to do it?
Yes, I that does sound reasonable to me.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chair Nair Strickland. So from my understanding, so I just have, in case I need to send out any reminders or anything. So on the 15th is when questions or any input from the committee in regards to the use of force policy from Virginia Beach Police Department will be submitted. And then that following week at the 18th, a meeting amongst the committee to discuss?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then if it works into the police department's timeline, and if it's true that there's not that many questions, if they can get back to us within a week with the questions that we have or the clarifications, and then again, we'll meet amongst ourselves either the 18th or 19th. We can do a doodle poll for that, and then hopefully be able to get back with them by the end of the month to wrap that up.
Okay, I have a virtual hand up by Lieutenant Wichenthal. Lieutenant Wichenthal, your mic is open.
So did I hear right that the questions would be given to us on the 15th and then you all would meet on the 18th?
Yes.
My only concern is I think you shouldn't meet until we answer the questions, so you can have a better understanding of the policy. If we haven't answered your questions, then you may be talking about stuff you have questions about in the policy, and you may not know the whole thing. And maybe we give if you give us the questions like on the 12th and we answer it by the 15th, and that way you have the weekend to look at it, and Monday you can discuss it. Having a better understanding of no questions answers about the logistics or the mechanics of the policy, not the intent, but like what PD&T is, like what Blue Team is in that sense.
Right. That certainly works for me. Does that work for everyone else? That we change the timeline to the 12th? Any unforeseen things that Officer Wichenthal or the PD can get back with us on the 15th, and then we will meet either the 18th or 19th, and then circle back with a meeting with them at the end of the month.
I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
Yes, and what I understood Scott telling us was that actually we should take more days before. So it is not necessarily that we move the 15th deadline. So basically, I agree that on the 15th, we submit the questions to you, but that we should actually have a couple of more days to give them the opportunity to respond to us, and then, you know, get together. And I'm agreeing with, you know, some of our members are requesting actually a little bit longer time in January. So I'm taking that into account. So rather than moving the dates forward, I feel we should stay, the 15th is okay for us to submit the questions. And then to have the department give us the answers up to the 20th, and then get together on the 26th. I don't know. Discuss when, you know, how many days will the department, um, but in my opinion, go forward rather than backwards, so that we can have more, you know, time.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Amberman. Chair Nair Strickland, I see your virtual hand is up. Your mic is open.
Yeah, I think our chair said 12th, 15th, and 18th were the dates. I think we're kind of splitting hairs because a couple of days here or there may not make a difference. And I can't help it. I've talked to Ron Taylor several times, and I've talked to, I don't know if everybody got to watch the November 24th city council meeting, or to read the bill 5055, but these use of force policies are important that we review them, but I think we're going to be in a timeline for this the other reviews, especially from the African American community. We are going to be pushed as a commission and to take a stand, with or without, with them or with our input. So it would behoove us to do it in this committee first, and then make recommendations to the entire commission. But that's going to be a really important part of this group. And I think the policies are, it's not that they aren't important, but if we can stick to the 12, 15, 18, I think we're okay. I think we're smart enough to get through a few pages in a few days, don't you think?
Yes, I would prefer to stay with a not an aggressive timeline, but with a 1 month timeline. As I'm going to point out, I asked for this 2 weeks ago, so it's actually, and I know we're in the holiday now, but we're talking about 4 weeks to look over 10 pages to see if you have any questions about the vocabulary, and I just think that the 12th is, I hope that's enough time for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Committee Chair. I'm sorry. Keep on going.
No, because certainly, I mean, we're giving ourselves a lot of time to be able to just, to review this, and then asking our police department to turn this around in 3 days, barring any unforeseen. So I think I would prefer to stay with the 12, 15, 18, and then be able to meet with them before the end of the month.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Amberman. Commissioner Amberman, your mic is open.
And Sylvia, I understand what you're saying, and actually, that is what I'm thinking, that we are not putting the priorities in the appropriate timeline. So if we have to review the document the Ron sent us, then we should actually have a scheduling of that first. I'm seeing that both departments are telling us that there is no pressure on this type of work. But on the other hand, I see that there is a priority in regards to the meeting that is going to take place in regards to the Internal Review Commission or the Citizens Review Commission. I don't know how they're going to call it, but that is a priority. And so what I'm talking about is, are we placing things in the correct order? Is the policies, the review of the use of force essential prior to the meeting of the Citizens Review Panel or Citizens Review Commission? Can you answer that question, please? Because it would be important for us to know where should we dedicate our efforts. Like I said, in my opinion, I don't think that there are too many definitions, and we're not talking about just definitions. I'm thinking that we are going to be asking questions in regards to things that we may not understand. Not only questions about definitions, because for definitions, we don't need that much time to wait. But please let me know what is the deadlines that we should take into account regarding the internal review commission, please.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Ammerman. I think I see. Yep, I see a virtual hand up by committee by Chair Nair Strickland. Your mic is open.
So to answer Beatrice's question, priority, we were asked very early on to review these policies, and we're late doing them. So the use of force policy, we were asked, way back when, and they were ready for our input. So I think that this is a priority. I don't think it's 8. Did you say, Carla, 8 pages? 8 to 10 pages. And these are very well written. They've been reviewed by many people. It's just for us to put our input and stamp of approval. So I think that we can stick to the 12, 15, 18. I just wanted to put this in our minds that we have until July 21st when the law actually comes into effect for the investigative review panel decision on what the city is going to do. But I just wanted to let you know that, we need to get these done and off the table. If we can get the sheriff and the police done by the end of February, that would be great. Then we have March, April, and May to help and have input. But you are going to be pushed to support the African American Roundtable's input. And we need to be able to meet several times as a group, as this committee, and as a commission, to discuss what we're going to do with that. So I just wanted to put that on the table. But yeah, I think this is very doable. I think the sheriff is Captain Norris still with us. They're probably the same pages, 8 to 10 pages. And I know you guys are great reviewers.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Nair Strickland. I have a virtual hand up by Lieutenant Wichenthal. Lieutenant, your mic.
Let me offer this too. Over the next 2 days, I'll go through the document now, and I'll pick things out like PD&T, and I'll attach a note on the electronic document and send that to Dominique so she can send it out to everybody. That will greatly reduce our questions, and I'll go through and just add stuff. Like I just looked through it now. Like one place there's just the initials IA. I'll put a note on the side saying that's internal affairs. PD&T is professional development training. And I think that will probably greatly reduce and make it easily that you all should be able to get your questions by the 12th in that sense, to give you that a better understanding. Something I may miss because I make my own bias in the sense of assuming, and I may miss an abbreviation that I use every other day. You obviously don't, but I'll try. I think that'll probably mitigate probably 95% of the questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Back to you, Committee Chair.
So that's very kind of you during this time of the year. So so we will stay with the 12th, 15th, and the 18th. And if there's a problem or concern, please let me know. Let Sylvia or myself know. Is there any other new business that we need to discuss?
I have a question for scheduling purposes.
Yes.
What time on the 18th? There's a preferred time?
Well, do you want to do a doodle poll on the 18th?
Okay, I can do that.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I'll help you.
You're welcome. I have a virtual hand up by Commissioner Cubine. Commissioner Cubine, your mic is open.
Yes, I just want to clarify. You just mentioned the sheriff's department. We are only reviewing the police department now, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thanks.
Thank you. With that, is there any other new business?
Any new business? Raise your virtual hand if you have any new business. I have a virtual hand up by Chair Neil Strickland. Your mic is open.
Just what I said, that if you haven't used the November 24th meeting to please, for this committee to please review that, I think, Madam Chair, and also what Ron has sent us, and I think we sent a link to the bill 5055. I think those are just in your spare time reading and going through that. It's important. Do you not think so, Madam Chair?
No, I completely agree. And I spoke with Delegate Guy over the weekend in depth about 5055 and what I think it is and what it actually is. And she's willing, and today she was going to meet with us. She was going to try to chime in, but she had to meet with VEA because she's carrying a bill for them in January. But she is more than happy to talk with the committee regarding and clarify any questions that we may have about any of the police reform legislation that went through during the initial session, and especially about HB 5055. So I just wanted to add that in. Is there anything else?
Anything else? Commissioner Cubine, did you forget to lower your hand? That's okay. I just checking. You're fine. Okay. I don't see any other virtual hands.
Okay, and we don't have any are there any citizens remarks? We have any?
No citizens on the call.
Okay, so is there anything else before we close? Are we good?
Is everyone
Okay.
all set?
Okay, so I'll work with Dominique to go over this meeting again and capture any notes and get something out as far as a timeline, just so to keep everybody on the same page. By the end of the week, can we do that, Dominique?
Oh yeah, certainly.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. All right, I don't want to push you. All right, so if there is, Commissioner Strickland, do you have anything else?
Oh, your mic is open?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much for the good meeting.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we can be adjourned. Everybody have a happy holiday. And
right.
you're opening it. Happy holidays, everybody. And
All
thank
mics
you
are
so much.
open. All mics are open if you want to say bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
Have holidays.
Hi, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.